Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a movie review for The Wild Robot. This movie released in theaters last weekend, and I absolutely loved it. I think that it is one of the best movies that has came out this year. So let's dive into this, shall we?
Modern Movie Review.
Okay, so right off the bat, I do want to issue a spoiler warning. I am going to be getting deep into this movie, and I did really enjoy it. So I'm going to do a kind of like a spoiler-free little section at the beginning of this movie, issue a bigger spoiler warning, and then get deeper into it. So right off the bat, I do want to go ahead and say, overall, I have this like running thing where I say, if you are going to an animated movie and it's for like a little toddler, a little kid, go watch an Illumination movie. They have the dumbest humor, they have the most simplest down plots, and for the most part, they don't do anything way too seriously. It's a lot of stuff that you can comprehend when you're like 2 or 3 years old, right? If you're looking for a movie that's more for the whole family, you're going to be taking your kids that are like 14 and 15 and your little kids, go watch a Pixar movie. Pixar absolutely does a great job with coming of age stories. They usually have some humor that's good for the younger audiences, but also the older audiences are going to have some stuff to laugh at as well. And then if you're looking for a movie as a parent where you're like, I need to take my kid to see something that's kid appropriate, but you also really want to enjoy it as an adult, go watch a DreamWorks movie. This movie was absolutely hilarious. They had some jokes that pushed the PG-13 boundary, and I absolutely loved everything about this movie. I think that for the most part, they weren't afraid to go deep with some of the more adult concepts in this film. They weren't afraid to really dive deep into the characters, and I think that overall this movie just has so many emotional layers to it that are so incredibly beautiful. And as far as the animated movies that have released this year, it's going to be hard to top this one. I think that this one was absolutely incredible. The character building, the world building, everything about it was fantastic. I think that the animation was absolutely beautiful. This weird like 2D/3D animation style that's like very storybook-esque. And this movie that is based off of a book really succeeds when it has that animation style. So overall, I think DreamWorks kind of took a couple of big swings with this movie, and I think that they absolutely knocked it out of the park in every aspect of this film. So to dive deeper into this movie and kind of issue a bigger spoiler warning here, this movie starts off with the character Rossum, who is the wild robot. They land in this middle of this island. They're malfunctioning a little bit. They're having a lot of issues. But the big thing is they're supposed to be delivered to a person, and the person who ordered them is going to have specific tasks for them, and they're going to need them to take care of certain things. And so Ross wakes up. There's not a single person around. They're trying to figure out who ordered them, why they ordered them, what their purpose is. And I think that that is just such a smart way to start off this movie, because Ross, the main character, feels like they don't have a purpose. And so they're walking around this island and they're trying to have communications and conversations with all these different animals, and none of the animals are really getting along with them. A lot of the animals are attacking them, rummaging them for parts, and just constantly giving them a really hard time. So eventually Ross sits down in a special spot so that they can kind of process and take in all the information of the people around them, learn their languages and stuff like that. And then whenever they wake up from that, they finally are like, okay, cool, I can help these people out. And they're starting to have a conversation with the different animals. And the animals still want nothing to do with them, because believe it or not, this robot who is offering to help and wanting to do so much things to help might not actually be helpful towards these animals. They all see them as a threat, which is interesting enough. And I really like that. And eventually Ross is still wandering the island, really struggling to find their purpose. And oh my God, it is so emotional. They actually had me crying at this point in the movie, because there's a scene where like she sits down or whatever, and she kind of like wraps her arms around herself, and she just goes, "Does nobody want me?" Oh my God! Lupita Nyong'o is having an incredible year. This voice acting performance is absolutely incredible. I don't think they do awards like Oscars or Emmys or anything like that. It definitely wouldn't be Emmys. But they definitely don't do Oscars or anything like that for voice acting performances. But if they did, Lupita Nyong'o deserves one for this. This was absolutely incredible. But yeah, I loved that. And then finally, we get into the heart of this film. Ross interacts with a giant brown bear who decides to chase them. Ross absolutely freaks out, runs off of a cliff, crushes a nest full of gosling eggs, and then she catches the last one and decides to nurture it. And then eventually when it hatches, she now has this beautiful baby blossoming baby boy. And she finds out that she now needs to raise that gosling, because that gosling believes that they are the parent. And it triggers this entire plot line of Ross having to train this bird how to be a bird, and obviously Ross doesn't know how to do that. And then Fink enters the story. He's the little fox that's played by Pedro Pascal, and he is so like lonely and sad, and a lot of his jokes and stuff that he makes throughout this movie are also just actually really depressing and sad, because at one point he reads a bedtime story to the Gosling, and he like, you know, ends it or whatever, and Ross is just like, how do you know so much about love? And then he goes on to say something along the lines of, well, when you're missing a lot of something in your life, you tend to think about it a lot. Oh my god! I'm just, oh my god, this movie was so good. They're just dropping lines of dialogue like that. They're having incredible heart-to-heart moments. They're having a lot of like really like cute, like, what's it called, found family trope, because Fink and Ross and I'm blanking on the bird's name right now, but the Gosling's little baby puppy person, I called him a baby puppy. That's not it. He's a baby bird. But what's it called? Their little relationship and family that they have is so cute, and it's such an incredible little family dynamic that I absolutely love. And Fink and Ross kind of like become like co-parents and try to teach them how to swim, and that goes, you know, about as well as you would expect it to go. And then they try to teach him how to fly, and just everything about this like training montage is so beautiful. The song that they use when they finally teach him how to fly is absolutely incredible, and they just have more heart-to-heart conversations all throughout this film. Eventually Ross realizes they're not the perfect person to train the Gosling how to fly, so they go and find a hawk that they teach to fly. And there's just a lot of moments like that that are just absolutely fantastic and emotional throughout this film. And something that I really love about it is during the final act, it is winter time. A lot of these animals are having to hibernate, and it's a really, really bad snowstorm, and it's actually so bad that a lot of the animals are potentially going to die over the winter. And Fink is able to wake up Ross and kind of tell Ross about everything that's going on and how a lot of people are probably going to die. And Ross, who has been treated like crap by every animal on the island, goes through and saves literally every single one of them, brings them into the home that they created with the fire pit where they can all be warm and survive throughout the winter. And it's just such a beautiful bringing everybody together, a great story of community. And I just absolutely love it, because Ross was treated like crap the entire first act of this movie, and then the third act is Ross bringing them all together, protecting all of them, and then eventually when the company that sent Ross comes to pick up Ross, they all, you know, gather around Ross and are trying to defend her. And it's just a very beautiful story. I absolutely love everything they did with this movie, and I 10 out of 10 would recommend watching it. But yeah, that being said, if I was to give this movie a final rating on a scale of 1 to 100, I would give this movie a solid, like, probably 87, 90, somewhere in that range. I probably would give it an 89, if I'm being honest. It's absolutely fantastic. It has some of the best punchlines that I've seen in a really long time, and the animation style is beautiful. The characters are absolutely incredible. The way that they all come together is fantastic. I have almost no notes on this movie. I think that it was fantastic. But yeah, that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. If you liked and appreciated it, I would love it if you left a like down below. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and head out now. Peace out. Bow.